And of course, KTN wishes you happy Easter holidays. But with matters at hand, this is just a day before the Supreme Court makes its ruling concerning the presidential petition. Now, our very own Sophia Wanuna has been following that story all through the week, and now I will join us from the City Center studios with the very latest. Good afternoon, Sophia.
Good afternoon, Bonnie Tunya. Thank you very much. Indeed, as we watched about an hour ago, the conclusion of the hearings at the Supreme Court. Of course, today's session was not a hearing per se. It was really for the counsel, for the respondents and the petitioners to be able to give their submission on the results of two reports, of course, after direction by the Supreme Court, that the Forms 34 and Forms 36 be scrutinized, and also that a retelling of 22 polling stations be done, retelling of the presidential results from that. And I have I'm holding the two results, the two reports here with me. And before we listen to the submissions that counsel made earlier in the Supreme Court, let me just tell you what the reports found in the scrutiny of the Forms 34 and Forms 36. Of course, they were to be scrutinized for all the polling stations, all the 33,400 polling stations. The first thing this report points out is that they were only able to scrutinize results, or rather Form 34s, from 18,000 polling stations. And the other thing it notes that is that Forms 34s were missing in some polling stations, including the following, which it has highlighted about 10 of them. I'll not go through them, but it mentions that some forms were missing. Also, this report says that aggregate results of Form 36 registered voters from 75 constituencies were missing. So these are some of the findings that were reached. It's a very short report. Of course, they had a very limited time to come up with it. And the other report is on the tallying, the retally exercise of 22 of presidential results from 22 polling stations. And here it notes that out of 22 polling stations, 5 polling stations had discrepancies regarding the number of votes cast as reflected in Form 34, and those reflected in Form 36 as indicated below, and the 5 have been mentioned. So those are what the reports were saying on the two exercises that were directed, that be conducted, of course, directed by the Supreme Court judges. Let's now take a listen at the various submissions by counsel.
What we've seen confirms the allegations in our petition, and that is the first and second respondents did not verify the results from all the polling stations as was required under the law. Form 34s are missing in 10 constituencies. If, my lords, there are Form 34s missing, we have to ask yourself, where are these Form 34s? And what is the result of those missing Form 34s? My lords, this election was conducted on 4th of March 2013. That was 25 days ago. The results in polling stations had been compiled by 5th of March 2013. Even if the presiding officers were walking these forms to Nairobi, by now they would have reached.
We are saying that you cannot rely on the results as provided by IEBC, because even from the examination of only 25 polling stations, and I don't think that is beyond 1.something% of the total number of polling stations, you have this variation of addition of 3,347 voters as between Form 34 and 36, and subtraction of 4,639 voters between Form 34 and 36.
The way we read the Constitution, Article 138, is that the returning officer at the constituency level does a preliminary or provisional tally on Form 36, but the authority to do the final verified tally lies with the commission, the first respondent at Bomas. So the returning officers brought provisional Form 36s, and some of them had made errors in those ones. In discharge of its duty under Article 138, the first respondent retallied, but instead of just giving the court the final one that was used to declare. We also brought the initial one that had an error.
We go to the second category, which shows or indicates discrepancies. My lords, you notice at a glance that these constituencies are spread across the entire country. Understandably, our young brothers and sisters all over the country who are undertaking this massive exercise on our behalf may have made one or two clerical errors. But the point is, my lords, it is across the country. There is no mischief that can be attributed or no advantage that can be attributed